Okay, so basically, when you do an acrylic painting, um, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But the way I like to paint is I like to get my background completely covered, and then I like to put um like main focus on top of the background. It's way easier than trying to like paint around your focus, like spending all on the cat or like whatever you're painting, and then try to like painstakingly put the background in. So the first thing I'll do is, so I have like all my paints on the palette. Using these colors, if you've been an art one, basic color theory, you can take all these colors and pretty much make any color. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this like greenish color, like the brownish color, and then kind of like that gray. So I started to do that last grade. I need to refresh some of my colors. So I'm gonna go and start off with like a green. I have a little bit of the left here. And then I know that the opposite of green is red. So I take tiny bit of that green and then tiny bit of red. I mix my red in with the green. It's going to make it like a brownish, darker, more muddled kind of green. And then if I use my brush up, I can also make a lighter green. Then I'm also going to make like that blue gray that's in the bottom right corner of this picture. Okay. I'm going to scoot this off to the side so you won't really be able to see all of it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and start to actually more portrait style than landscape. All right. There's my cat. So I'm gonna go in with my gray, like at the bottom. I'm not worrying about making it look pretty yet. I'm just kind of like laying down the color. I'm also not gonna worry too much about where the cat is. I'm just gonna work around that general area. I'm not gonna worry about blending or anything yet. I just want to get down main colors that I see. I'm working quickly. Acrylic stays pretty wet, but like this is a thin coat, so I want to make sure I'm working fast enough that I can go back and blend it. So once I have my main colors in, like blocked in, I can then rinse off my brush and use a nice clean wet brush and start to blend it out. So this is where you can start to add more texture to your background. So you can either create more like a scratchy, like think of rocks or bushes or grass, and you can kind of like tap your paintbrush to start to blend two colors together. Um, or you can do more like a sticky effect and go back and forth over all your colors. This would be better for like a water or like a sky, but for this kind of like splotchy background, I would use more of like a tapping effect to blend my colors. to worry too much about my background for today. This is just like the base coat. And if I was actually going to do like a full painting, I would probably let this dry and do another coat on top of it. But we want to get to the main focus, which is that hat. So I'm just going to kind of leave the background as is. I can always add in like smaller details later, but I don't care about the background. So next thing I would need to focus on would be the colors that I need for my cat. So look at this picture. I want to mix up at least 3 colors. So I'd want like the middle color that I kind of see, like just like a medium color. I would want the lightest color, so like not the white, but like the lightest tan kind of color I see here. And I'd also want the darkest color. If I happen to make like a 4th color, that will also help me. Also depends on the animal that you have or like what the subject matter is. So last year I mixed up these colors. I'm gonna try to. I still have a lot of this like beige kind of color, but I'm gonna make up more brown. So last period I did a brown fade with purple and yellow. So I'm gonna try orange and blue today, or this period. So I'll make my orange first. So now with my all the colors that I have mixed up for my cat, I have this like lighter color, I have my middle-ish color, and then I got a dark color. That I have this leftover lightish brown color. So I'm gonna use all of these to start to block in the shape of the cat. So I'm not gonna spend like if this was more dry, I would go in with a pencil and draw it in, but you can also just block it with paint and then cover up any mistakes later. Like I kind of fix up the background and cover up anything I don't like. Basically I'm just gonna start with his head. Nice thing about acrylics is you can layer it a bunch. Um, so having like all of these base layers, you can always go back in on top of it. It's kind of nice to be able to just block in color and then focus on the details later. Also kind of works the opposite that you would in colored pencils or watercolor. So watercolor, you can't really put on light color paint because it's already pretty translucent and light. Acrylics are nice because you can work dark first, like with all your dark colors, and then you can paint light colors on top of it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I kind of just did a scary outline of this cat. And now I'm gonna go in and put in all of those like middle range colors on the cat first, and then add in my light colors and my dark colors. So I switch brushes. Another nice thing about acrylic is you can water it down. You don't want to water it down as much as you would, like I said, watercolors, but you can get some nice like thin layers by watering down the acrylics, and then you can always paint thicker on top, like on top of the initial layer. I'm essentially just blocking in the base layer for my cat. I'm not gonna worry about getting any details in. I just want to get like all of the colors down, and you can put in your details after. So make it much easier to like build up the fur and any little, like the nose and getting in all of those little uh facial markings once I have a layer of paint down underneath it. Once I have all my color laid out, done with Milton, I can go in with my lighter colors now. This is where you also start to like decide what kind of style you want. So I paint more on the realism end of the spectrum. But if you wanted to keep it more loose, once you start to add more layers on top of this, the brush strokes, you can just keep using looser brush strokes and not blend in as much. But it's definitely like for the style that you're going for at that part, at that point. So now I've got like my middle tones and some of my lighter areas. I can go in with the darker colors. That's not as far as I'll put it today. Then I want to let it dry before I put the next layer on top of it. So we'll go in, add in my darker colors now. If you guys have any questions while I'm painting, you can feel free to like interrupt. All right, I'm putting this up here. Okay. Let my paint dry a little bit more. But this would be like the basic underpainting. So like base layer, undercoat layer. See from it. From here, then like tomorrow, like or I guess on Wednesday, if you did this, you guys will be online. But I could remix my paints, maybe do a little bit better job getting like closer to matching my cat, and then I can then go in and add in the fur on top of it. So it does look a little scary and like the base layer stage, but once you get it to this point, it's way easier to add those details and like the fur on top of it rather than like trying to just paint that fur on top of